Professional ethics. We believe at the end of these lectures, you will be able to understand what professional ethics is all about and why you should comply with them. What is law? It is rules of civil conduct or action prescribed or formally recognized by the supreme power of a state to be binding to all, the violation of which attracts some sanction from an enforcement authority. What this actually means is that the law has power over every person within that jurisdiction. Okay? And it tried to specify what to do, what not to do. That is civil conduct or action. And it is being upheld and enforced by a supreme power, either a governor, president, or any other executive arm of the government. Okay? And it has a binding power to all. When you fail it, or when you make any form of breaking or a breach on it, it will attract some sort of sanction, and which will be implemented by an enforcement authority. So this makes the law a very strong something. That's why before a law is passed, it has to take several processes from in the legislative arm of the government. Now let's look at the characteristics of the law. We say it must be obeyed no matter the person's opinion about the law. Refusal to obey the law and other actions that are contrary to the law are penalized by the legal system, that is the judiciary. So looking at the characteristics of law outlined above, we find out that this is what makes the law what it is. It must be obeyed. It will have to be enforced on people. That is why before a law is made, it has to pass through several processes from the originators. Maybe let's say public health want to make law. They are the one that will say, okay, we want to use legislation now to maybe control COVID-19 and all that. They will not take it to the executive arm of the government, that's the executive council. Once they approve it, they will now call judiciary, lawyers. They will now, in the office, the Attorney General office, they will be there, begin to write out the laws, its purposes, why it's needed. Then they will now carefully select words that will be required in that law, so that there will not be any form of ambiguity or confusion. Okay? And then they will now send that law to the legislative arm, where it will have to be examined by the legislators before passing it into law. Sometimes they also have to talk about public hearing. Now let's talk about types of law. We have different types of law. We have the ordinance, we have the bylaw, we have decrees, we have edicts, and also we have acts. So these are the types of law. Let's take it again. The ordinance, bylaws, decree, edicts, and acts. Now let's look at them one after the other. Laws passed by democratic governments with the three arms of government properly constituted are the only true laws. So these laws have to do with the laws that are passed by the legislature with the input from the judiciary as the interpreters, and with the executive arm giving assent, like the president assenting for such law. These are the laws called the true laws, and this law, according to the Nigerian system, will have to pass through the green chambers and the red chambers. That is the Senate, which represent the state, and the House of Representatives, which represent the people. Okay, so they will also have to look into the law, and sometimes will have to hold public hearing before it's passed. Another type of law is ordinances. These are laws enacted by the executive arm of the government without the involvement of the legislature and are called ordinances. These laws were mostly passed by local government councils, and were so called because the local government council did not have a proper legislative assembly during the colonial era. So those laws that are passed by the government without the legislature mostly in the local area or local government level, is known as ordinances. Although during the colonial era, these were mostly the laws that were passed, and that's called ordinance. For example, the ordinance law that was passed for public health, that's where the origin it began. Okay, so for a recap sake, these are laws enacted by the executive arm of the government without the involvement of legislatures. Okay, these are called ordinances. So ordinances are laws that were predominant during the colonial era when the British government were in charge of the Nigerian system. Okay, so those laws they made then were called ordinances, and some of those laws are today the basic laws that that are used for making other law. They are the subsisting laws from which Nigerian constitution or laws are being made. So those laws are called ordinances. Okay, we say these are laws enacted by the executive arm of the government without the involvement of the legislatures. Okay, especially by local government councils. Okay, so these are called ordinances. Okay, let's also look at another type of law known as the bylaws. So these are laws passed by local government. Okay, why they are called bylaws is because these laws are derived from the existing laws of the state. So what it actually means is that there's already existing laws in the state, and they will have to draw whatever they are making as law from those existing laws, which actually implies that whatever law they are making will not contravene the law already existing in the federal or in the states. Another type of laws is decrees and edicts. Decrees and edicts are mainly predominant during the military era or military regimes. That is when the military are ruling, whatever law they make are called decrees and edicts. The only difference is that decrees are made in the federal level, while edicts are made in the state level. We say laws enacted by the military government at the federal levels are called decrees, and if enacted at the state level is called edicts. Let's discuss classes of law. We have two major classes of laws. These are private laws and public laws. We have two classes of laws, private laws and public laws. Now let's look at the private law. From the word private law, it talks about individuals in their private life. So whatever law that governs their activities, their interactions are known as private laws. Private laws is concerned with the rights and duties of individuals. That's what you're expected to do and your rights. Okay, so private laws is concerned with the rights and the duties of individuals as they relate with other individuals or citizens. Okay, so these laws include laws that guide the relationship between two persons, maybe master servant or master apprentice. Okay, it also includes laws that deals with property, acquisition of property, selling of property, tenantship, okay, ownership. It also deals with contracts and tort system. When we say tort system, we mean whenever there is a legal wrongs, okay, maybe due to negligence. It also deals with trust, partnership, among others. Now let's look at public laws. We say public laws are the laws that guide the relationship between an individual and the government, and the relationship also between individuals that are of direct concern to the society. So whatever becomes a threat to the government or the interest of the society, the government is interested, and that is considered as a public law. Take for example theft. and murder cases. It should be private law, but because it threatens the peace of the society, it is considered as a public law. Sorry. Types of public laws. Public laws are the laws that govern the relationship between individuals and the government. Like we said earlier, it includes the following: constitutional law. Another one is administrative law. Then finally, the tax law. These three make up public laws. Public laws. Public laws that guide relationship between individuals that are of concern to the society are called criminal laws, like we said earlier. Okay, and we said criminal laws are technically private laws. If you can recall, we said such thing earlier. They are private laws, but they are considered as public laws because they tend to disrupt the peace of the society. So government is interested in them. Okay, so we say criminal laws are technically private laws because they relate to the relationship between persons. That's why it's called private law. But they are concerned to the society because they can disturb public peace and harmony if not properly handled. As we have learnt already, we know that criminal laws are private laws that are considered under public law. These are body of laws that relate to crime. These laws prescribe conduct perceived as threatening, harmful, or otherwise endangering to the property, health, safety, and moral welfare of people, inclusive of oneself. That is, when you want to harm yourself, maybe you want to commit suicide, it is a criminal offense and is considered under criminal law. Another type of public law is constitutional law. It is the fundamental law of the country. It's known as the fundamental law of the country. It is the body of laws that defines the roles, powers, structure of the three arms of government known as the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. It also talks about the basic rights of citizens, right to life, right to health, etc. Also, it talks about the relationship between the three tiers of the Nigerian government, that is the federal government, state, and the local government. So this type of law is known as the constitutional law of the land. No law must contravene it. Any law that contravenes it will be challenged in the law court. So once laws are being made, it must not contravene any section of that constitutional law. Now let's look at administrative law. We say that administrative laws are also called the law of government in action. It is the body of laws that governs the activities of government agencies such as NAFDAC and CHIPREM. These laws include the establishment laws of the agencies that clearly specify how that agencies would discharge its responsibility. That's why you always see, they will tell you that there is an enabling law, like the Community Operation Region Board of Nigeria has an enabling law. That law is considered and under administrative law. So it is these administrative laws that empowers these organizations or these regulatory authorities to perform. And that's why each of these professional organizations or bodies have ethics and etiquette that the people who want to belong with them or belong to them must comply with. Okay, so these organizations are able to use the powers conferred on them by their establishment acts to make regulations and rules. That's why they make rules. Like if you come to community practitioners, there are rules. You don't smoke, you don't fornicate, you don't commit abortion, you must refer, you must use a standing order to assess your patient. These rules and regulations they have made, you must comply with them. If you fail it, you'll be penalized because it is the law of the government under administrative law. Although these organizations are given these powers to make this law, and this is known as delegated power. But already there is a legislation by the legislative arm of government that, okay, we are making a law that will empower community health practice in Nigeria. They have made a law and they will not establish that agency. The agency will not operate based on that law, like they see Cap 19 or the enabling law of 2004 empowers them, the Community Practitioners Board of Nigeria, to license, regulate the activities of these practitioners, register them. Okay? For a recap, the power to make rules and regulations are usually delegated to these regulatory agencies through the Establishment Act of that agency. The rules and regulations made by the agencies have the force and effect of law and are obeyed by all persons affected by them. That is, people who want to belong in that agency, or people who operate within the jurisdiction of that agency. Take, for example, NAFDAC. You must follow their rules and regulations, or the Standard Organization of Nigeria. Before you produce anything that is consumed by Nigerians, you must follow their rules and regulations. They are called subordinate legislation because they are subordinate to the primary legislation passed by the legislature, and because they were made with delegated power. So for those rules and regulations that we are given to you as community practitioners, you should follow them. Okay, refer, make use of a standing order, use your diagnostic skills, and other rules. They have legal backup and you should not fail them. If you fail and you are caught, it is negligence and you are